In the fall of 2014, United States Forest Service officers made a strange discovery while on routine patrol along the eastern slopes of Mount Shasta. The scene that greeted them would leave them stunned. A massive tunnel, 60 feet deep, completely hand-excavated. This tunnel had been dug with such precision that its walls were straight, its width and height perfectly calculated. The diggers had worked at night, setting up a complex pulley system to haul tons of earth to the surface. But they had vanished before completing their work. They left behind only a ladder, several buckets, and a plastic water bottle. The Forest Service immediately sealed the tunnel. No statement was made to the press. The matter was kept classified. But to the locals of Mount Shasta, this wasn't surprising at all. Because they knew. This wasn't the first time. Similar tunnels had been discovered and sealed since 1904. Every time in the same area. Every time with the same secrecy. But why? Locals say that on quiet nights, they can hear voices echoing from deep within the mountain. And the source of these voices, they claim, is Telos, the underground city that serves as the legendary last refuge of the Lemurian civilization. This is a story about an ancient secret hidden beneath a mountain and the modern world's efforts to cover it up. Mount Shasta is a massive stratovolcano, rising 14,179 feet above sea level in Northern California's Cascade Range. On clear days, it can be seen from California's Central Valley all the way to southern Oregon. For thousands of years, this mountain has been sacred to the Native American tribes that have called these lands home. The Wintu, Klamath, Shasta, Achumawi, and Modoc peoples have for generations regarded this mountain as the center of the universe and placed it at the heart of their creation legends. According to the Klamath people, a powerful spirit chief named Skell descended from the heavens to Mount Shasta's summit and made it his home. Skell battled with Lau, the spirit of the underworld. The two hurled fiery rocks and lava at each other. This legend likely represents the volcanic activity at both mountains. The Wintu tribe worships Mount Shasta, tracing their origins to a spring at the mountain's peak. According to them, the creator Gamokumk dwells here, and the original bones of the Modoc people are preserved at this location. For centuries, this mountain remained sacred only to the native peoples. Until the late 19th century, when an entirely different layer of legend was added to this ancient sanctity. And this new legend would bring the first claims about a hidden world inside the mountain. In the 1880s, a young man named Frederick Spencer Oliver, living in Siskiyou County, began experiencing something unusual. Oliver claimed that his hand started writing uncontrollably, and that a Lemurian spirit named Philos was dictating stories to him. The book that emerged from these experiences, A Dweller on Two Planets, was published in 1905. The book claimed that there was a hidden city inside Mount Shasta, inhabited by an advanced civilization that had survived from the lost continent of Lemuria. The Lemuria theory had actually been proposed in 1864 by zoologist Philip Sclater. Sclater was trying to explain why lemur fossils were found in Madagascar and India, but not in Africa or the Middle East. He hypothesized that there had once been a continental bridge called Lemuria between these two regions. But Oliver's book took this scientific theory into entirely mystical territory. According to the book, before Lemuria sank, some Lemurians had escaped and taken refuge in Mount Shasta. They had built complex tunnel systems inside the mountain with jeweled walls and fur-carpeted floors. In 1913, astronomer Edgar Lucian Larkin examined Oliver's book and wrote that these claims were interesting. In 1925, a writer using the pseudonym Selvius claimed that Larkin had seen the Lemurian village at Mount Shasta through a telescope. In 1931, Harvey Spencer Lewis, under the pseudonym Wisher Spindler Survey, published Lemuria, the Lost Continent of the Pacific. This book became the most influential source in popularizing the Mount Shasta Lemurian legend. According to the book, the Lemurians had established a 5-level City of Light in Mount Shasta. This city was known as Telos and housed 2 million Lemurians. But all of these were just claims in books until they would transform into a real mystery. Because in 1904, a British mining engineer would make a discovery that would suggest these legends might be real. In the summer of 1904, British geologist J.C. Brown, working for the Lord Cowdray Mining Company, was searching for gold in the Mount Shasta region. While walking in the Cascade Range, he noticed a pile of rocks at the base of a cliff. Brown suspected that something might be hidden beneath the rocks and began clearing away the debris. What emerged astonished him. A perfectly cut tunnel entrance, 10 feet high and 7 feet wide. The tunnel walls were smoothly carved and sloped downward. Brown entered with his lantern and began following the passage. According to Brown's account, the tunnel extended exactly 11 miles, about 18 kilometers, into the interior. At the end, he reached a massive cavern. Inside this cavern, Brown would find sights that amazed him. Copper plating, golden shields, mysterious hieroglyphs, and, most striking of all, giant mummies, reaching up to 10 feet in height. Brown claimed to have counted 27 of these mummies. Some were wrapped in ornate robes. Golden tablets lined the walls. One room contained spears, another held crystal objects. Brown believed this discovery was the greatest archaeological find in history. But he feared that his company would seize the treasure, so he secretly marked the tunnel entrance and quietly left the area. For the next 30 years, Brown shared this secret with no one. What he did, where he lived, remains unknown. He's said to have occasionally told his story in bars around Sacramento. Until 1934, when at age 79, he decided it was time to reveal his secret. In May 1934, J.C. Brown surfaced in Stockton, California. He told a reporter from the Stockton Record his incredible story. Brown wanted to finally share with the world the underground city he had found at Mount Shasta 30 years earlier. But he knew his aging body couldn't endure such a challenging expedition alone. So he wanted to organize an expedition team. The story spread quickly through Stockton. John C. Root, a museum director, contacted Brown and took over the organization. Meetings were held for weeks. Brown claimed to have a fortune worth $40 million. He told participants they would travel to Mount Shasta on his special boat and find the treasure there. He promised that everyone who joined the group would become rich. These promises were so convincing that some people quit their jobs and sold their belongings. A massive group of 80 people formed. Brown said he kept photographs of the discovery in a bank in Texas. He couldn't show them as proof, but people believed him. On the morning of June 19, 1934, the expedition group gathered at Stockton Harbor. Everyone was excited. History's greatest treasure hunt was about to begin. But J.C. Brown didn't come. Hours passed. There was no trace of Brown. Police were called. An investigation was launched. J.C. Brown had vanished. He was never seen again. The expedition members were in shock. Some began to think they had been swindled, but most still believed Brown's story. Root claimed that Brown had stolen a ring and watch from his home. Brown was reportedly seen in Lodi, 16 miles from Stockton, but he left town before being caught. J.C. Brown's true identity was debated for years. Some researchers claimed his real name was John Benjamin Body and that he died in England in 1938. But did Brown's story die? No. On the contrary, This mysterious disappearance made the legend even stronger. And in the following years, it would emerge that similar discoveries continued at Mount Shasta. Decades passed after J.C. Brown's disappearance, but tunnel discoveries at Mount Shasta didn't stop. Local records show similar findings from the 1940s onward. In 1947, amateur cavers reported unnatural tunnel entrances on Mount Shasta's eastern slopes. The Forest Service closed these areas to the public, citing geological instability. In 1963, a group of university student campers discovered new hand-dug tunnel sections near Pluto's cave. These tunnels were also sealed shortly after. In 1978, a local photographer taking aerial photos of Mount Shasta noticed unexplained regular depressions on the mountain's eastern slope. When these photos were published in local newspapers, archaeological teams came to the region. But the official explanation was that these were formed by natural erosion. In 1985, a team of geology experts examined Mount Shasta's internal structure with ground-penetrating radar. The findings were never officially published, but leaked report summaries mentioned abnormal cavities and unnatural geometric formations. In 1998, an environmental conservation group found metal objects on Mount Shasta's northern slopes during a tree planting project. These objects appeared ancient and didn't seem to fit any known material classification. The objects were confiscated by federal agents. In 2007, experienced mountaineer Carl Washington disappeared while climbing Mount Shasta with friends. Carl had walked ahead around a bend during their morning hike and was never seen again. No footprints, equipment, or signs of struggle were found. When Carl's disappearance made national news, dozens of families came forward with similar incidents spanning 50 years. Mount Shasta was recorded as having the highest rate of unexplained disappearances of any mountain in California. And finally, in 2014, Forest Service officers discovered that 60-foot tunnel. The tunnel's location was almost exactly the same area that J.C. Brown had described in 1904. According to locals, these recurring discoveries were no coincidence. To them, there was indeed a living civilization in the depths of Mount Shasta. And this civilization was very skilled at concealing itself. According to modern Lemurian belief, a massive city called Telos exists 3 miles beneath Mount Shasta. This city consists of 5 levels, each with its own specific function. The first level is the city's main living area. Here are houses, parks, and public spaces illuminated by crystal technology. The second level contains production and agricultural areas. Lemurians grow food here using advanced hydroponic systems. The third level houses education and research centers. The fourth level contains energy production and technology laboratories. The fifth and deepest level holds sacred areas and libraries where the most important knowledge is preserved. At the city's center is a giant artificial sun. This sun draws power from an unknown energy source operated by crystal technology and illuminates the entire city. Lemurians are physically different from humans. They are 7 feet tall, about 2.1 meters, with long, straight hair. They typically wear white robes and sandals. They have a walnut-sized organ on their foreheads that gives them telepathic, telekinetic, and dimensional shifting abilities. Their most remarkable feature is their crystal technology. Lemurians use crystals for communication, energy production, and information storage. Each Lemurian has their own unique crystal that functions like an identity card. In modern times, local people in the Mount Shasta area report encounters with Lemurians. These encounters typically occur as follows. Unusually tall customers in white clothing shopping at local stores. These customers are always polite, speak softly, and pay with pure gold nuggets. When store owners ask where the gold comes from, these mysterious customers point to the mountain and say, "From Telos." After completing their purchases, they seem to vanish into thin air. These incidents are reported so frequently that local police keep official records of these gold nugget transactions. But the true source of these gold nuggets is never found. Additionally, unexplained light phenomena are frequently observed at Mount Shasta. Colored beams of light rising from the mountain's peak, moving sphere-shaped objects, and sometimes nocturnal glows appearing on the mountain's slopes. Scientists try to explain these events as lenticular clouds and atmospheric illusions. But locals believe they are visible manifestations of Lemurian technology. The mysterious events at Mount Shasta have caught the attention not just of locals, but also of federal authorities. Examination of official records reveals that the government has shown special interest in this region. Since the 1950s, regular surveys have been conducted in and around Mount Shasta under the guise of geological research. These studies are typically classified, and their results are not disclosed to the public. In 1962, geophysicists from the University of California conducted seismic surveys at Mount Shasta. The official report mentioned findings of normal volcanic activity. But a technician who participated in the research later said that the radars had detected unexplained empty spaces inside the mountain. In 1974, the U.S. Geological Survey recorded abnormal magnetic deviations beneath Mount Shasta. These deviations were inconsistent with natural volcanic structure. The report was immediately classified. In 1987, the New Age event called harmonic convergence drew large crowds to Mount Shasta. Thousands of spiritual visitors came to the mountain. During this event, locals reported metal particles in the air and abnormal electromagnetic activity. In 1995, the National Park Service closed certain areas of Mount Shasta to the public, citing environmental protection. This closure decision wasn't based on any scientific research and was protested by environmental groups. After 2001, Homeland Security activity increased around Mount Shasta. Regular drone flights began in the region. The official explanation was border security, but Mount Shasta is hundreds of miles from the Mexican border. In 2008, when a local journalist began investigating drone operations at Mount Shasta, federal agents warned him and pressured him to stop his investigation. After the 60-foot tunnel discovery in 2014, the Forest Service's response was noteworthy. Under normal circumstances, such a discovery would be examined by calling in archaeologists. Instead, the tunnel was immediately sealed and no information was given to the media. According to locals, the sealed tunnel entrance area now has 24-hour cameras and sensors. The cost of these security systems far exceeds a normal tunnel sealing operation. To locals, all of this suggests that the government knows and is hiding the real situation at Mount Shasta. Perhaps they are in contact with the Lemurian civilization or trying to access their technology. Today, Mount Shasta is not just a legend, but a living cultural phenomenon. Every year, thousands of visitors from around the world come to this mountain. New Age spiritualists, UFO researchers, mystical travelers, and people simply interested in mysterious stories. Bookstores in downtown sell Lemurian crystals, maps of the city of Telos, and Mount Shasta spiritual guidebooks. A significant portion of the local economy depends on this paranormal tourism. Spiritual events are held at Mount Shasta year-round. Events like the Lemurian Connection Festival, Telos Contact Conference, and Mount Shasta Spiritual Convergence attract thousands of participants. At these events, participants try to establish telepathic communication with Lemurians, practice crystal meditation, and search for secret entrances to the city of Telos. Some participants report actually experiencing unexplained phenomena. In 2019, environmental engineer Sarah Coleman claimed to experience an information download while practicing crystal meditation at Mount Shasta. According to Coleman, Lemurians gave her formulas for advanced energy technologies. These formulas were later used in renewable energy research. In 2021, technology expert Marcus Chen recorded his electronic devices functioning abnormally while camping at Mount Shasta. GPS systems showed wrong locations, cameras took photos automatically, and his computer received unknown codes. Such modern encounters add contemporary twists to traditional Lemurian stories. It's no longer perceived as just an ancient civilization, but as an active presence interacting with today's technology. Locals have mixed feelings about these modern visitors. On one hand, paranormal tourism contributes to the regional economy. On the other hand, they're concerned about commercial exploitation of sacred areas. Winnemem Wintu tribal leader Colleen Sisk says, "We came out of that mountain, so we're obligated to be the watchers of the mountain. We're concerned that spiritual and recreational visitors are harming Mount Shasta." But the legend is so powerful that it continues to grow despite all criticism. In 2023, local tourism officials from Siskiyou County made statements balancing the region's mystical reputation with scientific facts. These efforts reflect attempts to both protect spiritual tourism and control excessive claims about the mountain. Mount Shasta's Lemurian city legend is not just a historical mystery, but a living story that continues to thrive in the modern world. Starting with J.C. Brown's claims in 1904, this legend has renewed itself in every generation and been enriched with contemporary elements. The power of this story lies in its inability to be completely verified. It can neither be entirely debunked nor definitively proven. This uncertainty creates a perfect space for human imagination. Perhaps what's truly important isn't whether the city of Telos physically exists. Perhaps the real issue is how this legend feeds humanity's deep search for mystery and our curiosity about the unknown. Mount Shasta was a sacred place for Native American tribes for thousands of years. In the 20th century, this sanctity manifested differently in a different culture. And in the 21st century, a new version of the legend was created, blended with digital age technology. Each generation has adapted the Mount Shasta legend to their own world. Perhaps our generation will add its own modern touch to this story. After all, legends don't just remain in the past. They live, breathe, and grow a little more with each telling. We don't know for certain what happens in Mount Shasta's deep tunnels. But we do know this: humanity's search for mystery never ends. And this search sometimes takes us to the most unexpected places. Maybe right now, as you listen to this story, someone else is digging a new tunnel in the depths of Mount Shasta. Or, if Lemurians really exist, perhaps they're listening to us tell this story. And who knows, maybe one day, one of those forbidden tunnels will finally decide to stay open. Then we'll see how much truth there was in this legend that's been told for 120 years. Have you heard this legend before? Share your thoughts in the comments. And under the urban legends umbrella, let's bring to light the immortal legends of the mortal world together. If you believe Mount Shasta's mystery deserves to be heard more widely, don't forget to like and share. Every legend gives us the opportunity to understand the spirit of its location and humanity's shared dreams. A new urban legend is coming soon. Until then, keep your heart open to mystery. Wonder what secrets might be hidden beneath the ground you walk on. And remember, sometimes the greatest legends can begin in the depths of the earth, right beneath your feet. Mortal world, immortal legends.